Welcome everyone. Let's play with some A/B testing using Morfeu. So first of all, let's see what our test site looks like. It is like a very simple e-commerce site. In here we have some kind of header, some kind of search and boxes and configuration, as well as some main images of categories of products, in this case 2 and 3 of them, and then some footer. So your vanilla website. And if we look at the code, let's check it out. Okay, so in this case, this is a React application, a bunch of imports and no more dependencies than React, and then the components I just described. I have a menu, search box, then some images with some configuration and some footer. So great. If I want to add experiments to it, I have an experiment component. I could go and check it out and just change the code and deploy it and like as you would expect. But let's do it visually with Morfeu UI. So, okay, first of all, this is how Morfeu loads the actual page. On the left, I have a menu of all the pages I want to edit. Only in this case, I only have the home page of this site, but I can have more. And then in the middle, I have a setup which shows me in simplified form, hiding a lot of the complexity, the different elements of the site. I set a menu item, search, some title, and then the images themselves with some thumbnail of what they look like, as well as the footer. And on the right hand side, I have the model, which is all the different components I could have on the page, right? And their hierarchy. Okay, so let's add an experiment, right? So I want to have a 4x4 structure of images in the body, in the middle of the site, and I cannot decide between cars and handsets. So let's do an A/B test for that. So I'll just pick up an A/B experiment component. I'll see all the different locations I could add it, and I want it here. So let's put it here. And then what I'll do is the A/B experiment now on the page, and we'll move cars as variant A. So I just dragged it into it. And then I'll move handsets as variant B. Now the A/B experiment has variant A cars and variant B handsets inside it. Okay, so, okay, excellent. I will hit save. This is going to change the code of the site, and React will just reload the page. It has done it already, it's quite fast. And now I see variant B, I believe, which was, no, variant A, which is the car's image. I don't see the other one because I'm variant A. And that's it. I have just deployed an A/B testing experiment using drag and drop. So what happened to the code? Let's check it out. So I have it here. Let's edit it again. And basically what happened is what you would expect. I have a component now, experiment, here with ID 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the default because I didn't change that. And I have two subcomponents, in this case, image text of cars and the image of phones, which correspond to variant A and B. So that's it. This is exactly what I wanted, and this is what the code looks like. There's no extra sauce. So imagine the experiment finished. I am a developer and I just want to change the code directly from my editor. And I just want to get rid of the experiment and leave things as they were because, for whatever reason. Okay, so what I would do is, as you would expect, I just delete the specific lines that I don't want and save. Okay, so React has picked up the changes and we are back to cars and handsets. So what happened to Morfeu here? So the only need I need to do is to reload the page here. So I will reload the changes. So what's happening now is that we are parsing the new configuration and enriching it with the model, right? So to make sure that I can show the elements of the interface I mentioned. And yes, the experiment is gone, as you would expect, and we're back to the configuration that I had before. So that's it, right? So the source of truth is the JSX file, and basically the only thing that Morfeu does is load that and make it pretty with a model, right? So, and for instance, now that we're here, I'll show some feature, which is I want to change the configuration of the specific image. Okay, I will do that. Let's make this a bit bigger so we can see it well. And in here, I have, for instance, the color of the text. I'll change it to something a bit more contrast and just make it a bit bigger, right? So, and what I'm hearing here is that Morfeu is giving me a nice preview of what it will look like if I apply the changes. So, okay, let's save that. I have the dark color and the text size is now XL. Okay, let's save that, and I'll just save the configuration. Okay, so it's changing that, and yeah, the site is now updated. And if I go back to the code, it is as you would expect. If you go to the apartments component just change, now the color is dark of the title, and the text size is XL. So it works both ways, as we said. So okay, let's look at the model now, right? So I said that I have vanilla JSX code, and then some model that Morfeu uses to present the UI. So let's check it out a bit, right? So this is a plain XML schema file with some extra metadata thrown that basically describes what the components, what props they have, and what is the hierarchy of component. That's it. So in this case, let's look at the image. Okay, let's look it up. It's here. So in this case, the image text is a component with some metadata I'm describing here, which is what are, for instance, default values when I drag it and drop it into the interface, preview information, etc., etc. And then what are the attributes, the props that speak of this particular component. It has a text, the size, the color, and the URL, right? So, and that's it. That's the only thing I need for to describe a component in the homepage. So, and if we look at another complex one, a bit more complex, which is the experiment one, right? So, in this case, an experiment has some metadata and has an attribute, which is the experiment ID, okay, which is mandatory, and then basically can hold a number of components that I want to be experimented on, given my model, which is I can have experiments on menu, elements, search, titles, rows, image text, copyrights, and links, right? So in this case, for images, I can only have two of them, variance A and B, right? So this is what I have behind. So with the JSX raw code, with no dependencies, and this plain text schema file, and I can operate Morfeu, no problem. So, and also let's look at some of the components just to see that if we look at the home page, again it's completely vanilla. There's import React, no other dependencies. Then the components themselves and the actual code. That's it. There's no code to be injected or to do anything special. If we look at the image text component, it's also the same. It's completely vanilla React code. And if I see the props here, the props I'm using, like text size, URL, etc. I'm using them to render this specific component, right? And I have those defined in the model. If I had subcomponents that are not editable in Morfeu, I don't have to model them. They can be completely hidden, and that's it, right? So I only need to model the elements I want the user to modify. So great stuff. And okay, but let's talk about one last feature, which would be, for instance, I have complex elements or complex experiments or complex components that have a lot of attributes and they are complex to operate or create from scratch or cumbersome and the like. They have a lot of props. So I have a feature here, it's called snippets, which is a bunch of pre-generated components. I have a bunch of headers as an example, but I have a bunch of experiments here, right? So pre-created, or they can be pre-created and then I can tune them. So that's a good starting point. In this case, I have a bunch of experiments, A and B, and about search, but I could have much more. So in this case, what I'll do is drag and drop an A/B experiment on search. So first thing I will do is I'll remove the search component, gone. And now I will add the experiment. I just dragged it here. And now I have an A/B experiment with two search variants, right? So the variant number A, it's the start category is on phones. And variant number B is on cars, right? I could also tune, I don't know, the actual copy, the examples, the search button, I could tune a bit more. But I started with the snippet, which is very convenient. So, okay, the experiment is added. Let's save and go back to UI, which is just loaded immediately. I am showing the cars variant, which is great. So, but let's look at the snippet itself. It's as simple as just a JSX code, and this is what the system is using to display the template and apply it, right? So this is the experiment number 1, and then the two different search variants, right? Phones and cars, right? So, and then if I look at the code again of the home page, I have, as you would expect, the snippet inserted here. The experiment ID number 1 with the two variants, right? So, and I have more experiments here. Sorry, more snippets with some experiments, which are a bunch of just plain JSX files and some JSON file with the metadata to show the name of the snippet, and that's it. So, excellent. And this is a short demo. There's more features, but we have covered A/B testing. So, thanks for your time and have a good day.